Hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to everyone here. This is Viperstrike 95, and we are back with our All Countries tour. We haven't done one of these in quite a long time, actually. I believe the last time we did it was actually on February 18th. So that was about a couple weeks ago. So I hope you're all doing well here today, and today we'll be wrapping up the final two nations in the Caribbean we're going to be visiting today. We'll be checking out Grenada, and we'll be also be checking out Trinidad and Tobago today. So guys, I hope you're all doing well as always, and it's great to be back here. Happy Friday to everyone here. So let's go over the flight plan for today. Should be a pretty nice little flight plan. So, here it is. So the first part of this flight plan is going to be from Union Island. We'll travel through Lauriston in the island of Caracas before we make our way to the island of Grenada itself. We'll be checking out the Belmont State, and then of course downtown St. George's. We'll be checking that out here as well, and then we make our first stop here at Point Salines International Airport at Port Salines and Maurice Bishop, Tango Golf, Papa Yankee. After that, we'll be crossing over the sea over into the island of Tobago. We'll be flying around the island of Tobago. We'll be taking a look at the island of Tobago. So we'll be checking that out. And then we'll make our landing over at Tango Tango Charlie Papa. This is also a brand new handcrafted airport from the New World Update. We'll be checking that out. And then finally, after this, we'll make our way south, and we explore the entirety of much of the island of Trinidad. So we'll check out much of Trinidad itself, including a visit to the capital, Port of Spain, and make our landing at one of the most important airports in the Caribbean, Yarco International, the main hub for Caribbean Airlines, at Tango Tango Papa Papa. So that is today's flight plan. Should be pretty nice. Like I said, guys, this is the final leg for the trip to the Caribbean. So it'd definitely be a very eventful final leg in the Caribbean. And that will end part one of our journey. So before we get started, we're flying the PC-6 Porter, very well-known bush plane, very capable plane for this kind of stuff. But I feel like this would be the perfect little plane to kind of tour around Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago. You guys know it. It's basically a flying SUV of the skies. There's lots of payload, cargo, can take off from nearly anywhere, and these are very popular and beloved planes. So incredibly cool planes. So before we get started, we want to say hello to Super Typhon, good to see you, and hello to all the lurkers. Good to have you guys here as always. So yeah, before we get started, since we're so close to Grenada, I do want to go over some slides of Grenada for a bit before we get started. So Grenada is located in the eastern half of the Caribbean. It is among the southernmost of the Windward Islands, which is about 100 miles north of Trinidad and directly south of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It consists of the island Grenada as well as two smaller islands, Carriacou and Petite Martinique. It's well known for being the main island of spice due to the fact nutmeg and mace crops were often grown in the island. And that's what makes Grenada such a famous place. But one of the cool things about Grenada is its history. So Grenada's history goes back to the pre-Columbian days. It was first, in fact, it might have been first populated by the peoples from South America during the Archaic Age. However, the most recent was the Caribs, the Carib people during 750 to 1250. The first European to arrive here was by Christopher Columbus in 1498 during his third voyage and named it La Concepcion. And even though it was deemed property to the King of Spain, there are no records. But the first settlement attempt was a failed venture by the English in 1609, but that was not very successful. However, the first attempt at a permanent settlement that was successful was in 1649, from an expedition of 203 men from the island of Martinique, led by Jacques Diot du Parquet. Eventually, he had a permanent settlement. Then they broke out in conflict with the Carib chief and lasted from there to 1654 with the French subjugating the entire island. And the French named the colony La Grenade. And mainly it was based off sugarcane and indigo. The British itself captured it during the Seven Years' War in 1762. Grenada was formerly ceded to Britain in 1763, and the economy grew as more and more African slaves were forcibly transported to the island. Britain eventually outlawed the slave trade in 1807, and then full emancipation by 1838. However, the event that really changed Grenada was in 1843 when the spice nutmeg was introduced to the island. When a merchant ship called its way to England from the East Indies, the ship had a small quantity of nutmeg trees on board, which they left here in the island, and it began the nutmeg industry, which, as of right now, it supplies nearly 40% of the world's nutmeg is from Grenada. Grenada was made into a crown colony in 1877. Then increased participation of the people in 1917 with the founding of the Representative Government Association. In 1850, Eric Gary founded the Grenada United Labour Party, originally a trade union, but eventually grew into elections, and his party won 6 of the 8 seats during the 1951 election. And then in 1974, Grenada gained independence. However, the most important change that happened was actually during the late 70s when Gary, when he left the country. The NJM left the bloodless coup, which removed him, suspended the constitution, and put a people's revolutionary government led by Maurice Bishop. His government established close ties with other communist countries, plus Cuba and Nicaragua. All political parties except for their movement was banned, and there were no elections. Then afterwards, in 1983, there was a coup by Bernard Coudard and his wife against Maurice Bishop, and the military government took over, and that concerned the United States. And thus, in October, President Ronald Reagan and the United States launched the invasion of Grenada, codenamed Operation Urgent Fury. And progress was rapid, and within 4 days, the Americans removed the military government, and eventually they brought back the government system of the 80s. There was some bit of instability, but eventually Grenada went back to relative stability. Then in September 2004, it was hit by Hurricane Ivan. And currently right now is in 2022, the NDC party led by Dickon Mitchell won the presidential election. So just want to go over some brief stuff before we do so. Then in terms of geography, the coastline of Grenada is around 121 kilometers long. The island has 15 constituents. It speaks both English and Grenadan Creole. It's volcanic in origin, and its topography is kind of mountainous. Grenada and its territories occupy a small area of 433 square kilometers. And the island of Grenada is actually around 310 square kilometers. It's the size of the city of Detroit in the United States. Finally, its climate is tropical, tempered by northeast trade winds. Good to see a devil, dude. Hello, hello. Since Grenada is going to be a pretty short, I want to go over some of the stuff because it's very short. Very, very short. So, the politics. Grenada is a constitutional monarchy led by Charles III as head of state, represented locally by the Governor General. Executive power lies with the head of government. The parliament consists of a Senate and House. Senators are appointed by the government, while representatives are elected by the population. And currently, Grenada operates a multi-party system. Grenada is a small economy, which tourism is a major forage stage earner. It exports several sites, including nutmeg, which is the top export, and it's part of the national flag and mace. Tourism is a mainstay, with beach water sports tourism focused southwest in the coastal strip, and with ecotourism being a big deal. In Grenada's island culture is heavily influenced by African roots, with most Grenadans. Their national dish is oiled down, which is basically quite a few times stewed within coconut. Soca, calypso, kaiso, and reggae are popular music genres playing here in Grenada. And an important aspect of Grenada culture is a focus on storytelling and folktale. Are big parts of Grenadan culture. Grenada has competed in the Olympics since 1984. The first Olympic gold medal for Grenada was won by Kirani James in the men's 400-meter dash in the Summer Olympic in London. Cricket is the national sport and most popular sport in the island, and football is gaining popularity too. So that basically just sums up a bit of Grenada for a bit. Let's go ahead and turn this thing on. I know that sounds weird to think that I know it sounds weird that I started this off with the chat, but I really did think that it would be good to talk about Grenada now um, before we got started. So for the rest of it, we can talk about Trinidad and Tobago. But yeah, good to see you. So we'll be taking off here from runway 08. If you guys want to join on in, we're in the Southeast Asian Sur. So do feel free to join with us on this group flight as we wrap up the Caribbean on this journey. So yes, once we get in the air, we'll talk a little bit more about Grenada once we get to the air a bit. So let's go ahead and talk about some fun facts about Grenada. One of the most interesting things about Grenada is the national bird. The Grenada dove, which is currently right now a critically endangered species, is the national bird of Grenada. Is currently the national bird of Grenada. Grenada is actually home to the world's first underwater sculpture park, filled with concrete and rebar, placed within the park without affecting the natural leaves and the inhabitants adversely. Grenada is home, also boasts the oldest functioning water-propelled distillery in the Caribbean, the River Antoine Rum Distillery. And of course, nutmeg is the only tropical fruit that is a source of two different spices, obtained from different parts of the plant. You see, nutmeg and mace come from the same plant. Um, the nutmeg is actually the seed. Is actually the seed of the plant Mysterica, which is the seed. Mace is actually the covering from the seed. The difference between nutmeg and mace is nutmeg is the seed. Mace is actually from the seed covering. Nutmeg is mainly used to flavor baked goods, confections, puddings, meats, and more. It has in the spice, nutmeg has a distinctive pungent fragrance and a warm, slightly sweet taste. Whereas mace is more of a seed covering, which is similar to nutmeg, but it's a more delicate flavor. But nutmeg is a very popular sort of thing. So that's something to keep in mind. And finally, some landmarks. There's Great Honest Beach, which is the most famous beach, and lots of visitors from cruise ships flocking to the golden sand, gentle surf. There's the Fort George built in 1705, which was built to protect the harbor. And finally, of course, you can't go out of Grenada without visiting the spice tours of the nutmeg farm in Coca, as that's part of Grenada's tradition and history. So that's pretty important to visit. St. George's is the capital of Grenada. It's surrounded by a hillside of an old volcano and looking in the horseshoe-shaped harbor. It's a popular tourist destination in recent years. It's grown. It is a moderate tropical climate that ensures the production of spices, mainly nutmeg, but also other ones like coca, mace, cloves, vanilla, cinnamon, and ginger. There are other spices built here in St. George's. And finally, the airport is Maurice Bishop International. It is the main airport out of Grenada. It was actually built in 1979. However, it was cited as evidence of the Grenada conflict, which was actually where it happened. But currently features flights to many destinations across the Caribbean, North America, and Europe, with destinations including Toronto, Miami, London, St. Lucia, Antigua, Barbados, Port of Spain, Frankfurt, Boston, and more. So that's it, guys. That's all about Grenada. We'll be exploring the island pretty shortly. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me on today's stream. I really do appreciate you guys' support. So this here is the island of Coracua. This is part of Grenada. Very, very cool place. There's the island of Grenada right in front. So yeah, I hope you're all doing well as always. Like I said, I do apologize for the short start, but Grenada was not a very big island, and plus we were very close, so Instead of scrambling, it would have been easier if I talked about the trip starting from the airport before we get to Tor Granada. Of course, after this stream, on Sunday, we'll be back on Sunday. We'll be back in Trinidad, and we're gonna actually fly in the 737. We're gonna fly from Trinidad over to Maracaibo, in Venezuela. We'll be talking a bit about Venezuela's history, culture, and more. But that way, we do some flying around Venezuela. And this is part 1 of 2, because there is another part we're going to be flying from Maracaibo over to Caracas, which will finish up our trip of Venezuela. Like I said, I'm trying to keep all of this pretty reasonable. So, yeah. But I hope you're all doing well. In terms of other stuff I want to talk about, there has been some pretty sad news over the past couple of hours, at least. So, there are some things I do want to talk about that's not in Flight Sim. So, of course, I saw the trailer for the new Fallout TV series. If you guys aren't aware of it, it's from Amazon. And I gotta say, that Fallout series actually looks really, really good. It actually looks really, really good. It looks very much true to the games. So I'm looking forward to that series a lot. It looks really, really good. I mean, it looks really, really good. It's going to come out on April 12th, which is going to be next month. So, should be exciting. But it looks very much true to the original series, so I have high hopes for this. But a bit more sad news that just happened last night was actually a lot more sad news. So, if you guys aren't aware, Akira Toriyama passed away on March 1st. But we only got the news of his passing last night. If you guys aren't aware about Akira Toriyama, he is a legendary manga artist and character designer. He created the Dr. Slump series, popular series Dr. Slump, but most notably, he was well known for his most famous work, Dragon Ball, as well as being a character designer for several popular games, including Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger, and Blue Dragon, and he helped change the history of manga and has inspired countless manga artists still to this day. But yeah, he passed away at the age of 68. And he passed away mainly due to a subdermal hematoma, which is basically in his brain. It was rough, for sure. So it's kind of rough to see Akira Toriyama, such a legendary manga artist, to pass away like that. Yeah, it's rough too. Like I said, not everyone's the anime fan, but yeah, it is sad. Dragon Ball is my favorite manga anime series. I did. I really like that sort of stuff. So it's rough to see him go. But I know he lives on for the fans for years to come. Definitely very, very rough. Yeah, it is one of the most mean animes. Yeah, but Dragon Ball was such a classic series, though. Dragon Ball, the original. I mean, Dragon Ball still to this day has been the most popular, beloved shonen series. And not only did the original series have a massive impact, um, not only was it a successful manga, Dragon Ball became an insanely successful anime too. The original Dragon Ball anime, which was very popular anime series, and of course you can't forget its sequel, Dragon Ball Z, which is its legendary sequel, and that became one of the greatest anime series of all time. And that series has a massive on its own. It was tough moving on. It was just tough to lose someone like. So it's a massive legacy. Hmm. So yeah, this is a beautiful island here, beautiful island of Granada. As we see here. So pretty important stuff. So yeah, there's been some pretty cool stuff. Later today, this weekend, Murph's gonna be back later tonight. He's gonna be going over Montana, which is absolutely beautiful. If you guys never been to Montana, um, Montana is definitely one of the more pretty beautiful states. And I mean, the West U.S. has tons of beautiful states like Idaho, California, Arizona, Utah, Washington, Portland. But I think Montana deserves more respect. I mean, Montana has access to tons of forest, mainly Glacier National Park, which is absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, he's going to be doing some flying around Montana. Should be an absolutely beautiful flight. So, also on Saturday, is going to be the Amelia Earhart recreation on Saturday. She's going to be flying from San Francisco into El Paso. She's going to fly from San Francisco to Phoenix first, and then Phoenix to El Paso. Should be about a 5-hour flight for her stream. Should be a really cool, um, should be a really nice flight. Allison Johnson, she's an absolute legend. Give her a shout out. She's a legend in my book. absolutely beautiful island here. Hey, Filthy, good to see you. No worries about work. Thank you for coming by, Filthy. Hello, hello. No worries, you got work, and work is always extremely important for you. But it's great to have you here, my dude. Always good to have your company here anytime. So, if you guys weren't aware that about the last couple days, I completed the monthly schedule on Wednesday. Got to complete the monthly schedule. So I got all the Dubai stuff finished, and I've been working on more due schedule stuff. So I guess I'm gonna have to work on more of that when I after the stream. So here is St. George's. Here's the capital city of St. George's. Here in the distance. There's a cruise ship. There's the harbor too. So Grenada's definitely an island I would like to visit on my cruises. So still yet to check them out. Beautiful area here, Grenada, always. And here's Port Salines Airport. Here's Grand Ice. And then over in this area is Grand Ice Beach. Beautiful stretch of beach, for sure. Prepare for the landing. Prepare for the landing here at Tango Golf Papa Yankee. Beautiful, beautiful beach. So far in our stats console, so far in our stats thing, turns of XP, we're about we're about 40% of the way done. We're about almost a million XP already until we reach the next target goal. Pretty insane. This is Point Salines Airport here in Grenada. So, and that basically just about wraps up Grenada. So we're just gonna stay here for just a little bit until we get ready for leg number 2 into Tobago. So if you guys want to join on in, we're on the Southeast Asian server. Um, and we'll get ready for leg 2 very shortly. Let's go ahead and get this ready. Let's go ahead and get ready to get going. Heading. Go ahead and get going. So we're going to go ahead and say goodbye to Grenada and move on to the island nation of Trinidad and Tobago. Go ahead and climb to 5,000 feet for this one. Go ahead and climb. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Trinidad and Tobago. So Trinidad and Tobago is the southernmost island nation in the Caribbean. It consists of the main islands of Trinidad and Tobago as well as numerous smaller islands. It's situated 11 kilometers off the coast of northeast Venezuela and 81 miles south of Grenada. It shares maritime boundaries with Barbados to the east, Grenada to the northwest, and Venezuela to the south and west. It's generally considered to be part of the West Indies, and the capital is Port of Spain, and the largest, most populous municipality is actually Chaganas. For centuries, it was inhabited by indigenous people, or becoming part of the Spanish Empire following Christopher Columbus. It surrendered from the Spanish to the British in 1797, and was officially ceded in 1802 to the British under the Treaty of Amiens. Originally as separate states before unifying in 1889. Unlike most Caribbean territories, it isn't reliant on tourism. Instead, it's actually industrial, thanks to its emphasis on petroleum and petrochemicals, and is well known for its rich African and Indian cultures, represent for its traditions. So Trinidad and Tobago, very interesting as well. Um, when we talk about the history of Trinidad and Tobago, they were originally settled by indigenous people who came through South America. After all, it was right next to Venezuela. And they went through multiple migrations over the century. However, the first European to see it was Christopher Columbus in 1498 on his third voyage. In the 1530s, Antonio de Sedano, a Spanish soldier intended to conquer the island of Trinidad, landed on the southwest coast with a small army of men, intended to subdue the indigenous population, and they soon built a fort, and they spent the next few decades with the native peoples until in 1592, when the local chief granted the area of modern St. Joseph to them and withdrew to another part of the island. However, the big change was in 1592. The English tried taking it as well, but it was attacked by the Spanish, and the Spanish authority was restored. However, there were also multiple attempts for the Europeans to settle the northern island, which were visiting Tobago during the 1620s and 40s, with the Dutch, English, Cornonians all attempting to colonize the island with much success. Now, if you guys don't know, you guys know the Dutch and the English, right? But a lot of people don't know this, but the Cornonians actually came from the Duchy of Courland and Semigala, which today are now actually part of Latvia. Like, what? What do you mean Latvia was involved in colonization? Yeah, Latvia. Very unusual. But yeah, they actually attempted to colonize a few things, and basically the Duchy of Courland and Semigala was actually a duchy that was part a vassal state as part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. So technically, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth actually trying to have a colonial empire. Yeah, it's pretty crazy thing. And that was mainly under son Jacob Keller. Attempted to try and take the island. And that wasn't the only place they tried to colonize either. The Duchy of Courland also tried to colonize Africa, the St. Andrews Island, on part of the Gambia River. They built Jacob Fort. So it's kind of unusual the fact they were involved in colonization. I mean, that's kind of a lot of people don't know about. Sure. And of course, this sort of stuff. And then from 1654 onwards, the Dutch and the Courlanders advanced to secure a foothold. Later joined by several hundred French settlers, with a plantation based on sugar, indigo, and rum. And a large number of forts were then built on Tobago, and it became a source of contention between the French, Netherlands, and British. And no joke, the island had to change hands with, no joke, 31 times prior to 1814. 31 times it changed hands between the French, Dutch, and English. 31 times. Which was exacerbated even more by piracy. And eventually, Tobago was eventually given to the British in 1793. During the 17th century, Trinidad didn't have really much of an incident, though there was sustained attention by the Spanish control over the indigenous population. With the British having a keen interest in Trinidad, they launched an invasion of the island, and eventually the British took over the island in 1802 in Treaty of Amiens. British rule led to the influx of settlers from the UK and British colonies. Then, after slavery was abolished in 1833, with many people moving out plantations, and with the labor shortage, they created a system in internship to keep people working. This led to some riots and all that as a result. And there were a couple of riots in 1903 with protests about new water rates and more, as well as strikes over dock workers in 1919. And with the collapse of the sugarcane industry in the 1920s, it resulted in widespread depression among the rural workers of Trinidad. And it got even worse with the Great Depression. However, the thing that changed it was the rise of petroleum. Turned out the rise of petroleum helped rebuild some of Trinidad's economy. And then in 1962, Trinidad gained independence from the UK. There was some rises of oil in the deposits during the boom and cycle era, including the 70s and 80s being the oil and stuff. However, they have tried to diversify the economy ever since to make it less dependent on petroleum. But ultimately, it's still less to today. Right now, the People's National Movement won in 2020, earning Keith Rowley a second term in office as Prime Minister. That's the history of Trinidad and Tobago. So, that wraps up the history of Trinidad and Tobago for all you guys in the chat. So yeah, guys, I want to ask you all in the chat. I hope you guys have got any really cool plans for this weekend. Got any really cool plans? Well, for me, I'm going to continue working on my research for Louisville Slugger this weekend. But I'm also going to be doing some more Flights for Firefly Air. And of course, I'm also going to do some more notes for the streams and stuff. I know that I'm going to work on the Venezuela notes. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be mainly working this weekend. For my end of things. That's what I'm going to plan on doing this weekend, pretty much. got some pretty cool things planned. Yeah, there is the island of Tobago in front of us, is the island of Tobago. That's not far from where we're at currently. Let's go ahead and talk about the geography of Trinidad and Tobago. So Trinidad and Tobago is around 4,000 kilometers area, which comprises of 93% of the total area of Trinidad and Tobago. Well, Tobago only has 120 square miles of area, or only 5%. The island's terrain is a mixture between mountains and plains. Trinidad and Tobago also have a maritime climate, with 2 seasons being the dry season the first 5 months, and the rest of the year is the rainy season, which makes up much of the climate here of Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. So mainly the mountains and stuff in Trinidad and Tobago. In terms of their highest point, the highest peak in the nation is El Cerro de Epria, which is around 3,000 feet above sea level. And the second highest is located in the island of Trinidad, which is the northern range. We might see some of the tall points here on the island. There's also lots of beaches, some beautiful beaches across Tobago and Trinidad. Also some great beaches. And there's even some swampland too that's worth visiting as well. But most people live on the island of Trinidad. There's also kind of swamps as well, mainly on Trinidad. Definitely pretty cool. So, and also Trinidad is also rich in biodiversity. Is unlike most Caribbean islands, and is more common than in Venezuela. So it includes ecosystems like marine, coastal, mangrove swamps, forest, and more. There's all sorts of mammal species that live in Trinidad and Tobago, including the ocelot, West Indian manatee, the collared peccary, the red brocadere, weeper capuchin, and red howler monkey. There's about 7 species of bats, including the vampire bat itself, along with reptile species like the green anaconda and boa constrictor, and also in even more marine life like manta rays, dolphins, and whale sharks. But yeah, tons of animal stuff in Trinidad and Tobago, which is pretty extensive though. Yeah, pretty cool things about the island for sure. In terms of government and such, Trinidad and Tobago's. Hey, Bossman Game, good to see you. Thank you, Bossman, for coming along. Sorry, I didn't look at the chat. Welcome on in, Bossman. I hope you're doing well, my dude. We checked out Grenada earlier, and we're gonna go into Trinidad and Tobago. So we're getting pretty close to Tobago. So welcome in, my dude. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is a Republican-style government led with a two-party system by bicameral parliament. The head of state is the president, which is ceremonial as it became a republic. The head of government is the prime minister and is elected by electoral college with full membership of parliament. The parliament consists of the Senate and House of Representatives. The members of the Senate are appointed by the president, while the representatives are reported by the people. So, in terms of economy, Trinidad and Tobago is pretty unique among the Caribbean because you'd be surprised. It's actually is the most developed nation in the Caribbean. It's one of the wealthiest in the Caribbean. It is the most developed nation in the region. In fact, it's located in the top 40 of the 70 high-income countries. It's in the top 40. That's pretty crazy to think about. In the Caribbean, mind you. Which is pretty insane to think about. To put that in perspective, Trinidad and Tobago, of these top 70 income, is 62nd in the world in GDP per capita. To put that in perspective, that's ahead of countries like Costa Rica, China, Mexico, and even much of the other Caribbean countries like Antigua. But yeah, it's pretty crazy about Serbia, Costa Rica, even China and Mexico, and Thailand. Pretty insane to think about. And it's only below countries like Montenegro, Chile, and Malaysia. Which is pretty crazy to think about. It's an upper tier economy, and the reason is because the petroleum industry. Unlike other Caribbean countries that had to rely on tourism, Trinidad and Tobago wasn't exactly having to rely on tourism because they have a petroleum industry. Though tourism is growing nowadays, but it's much less important than other islands. In fact, it is the leading Caribbean producer of oil and gas, and it accounts for 40% of the GDP and 80% of exports, but 5% employment. It's also a financial center too, and it has been a trade surplus. It's now transitioned from oil to natural gas, but even then, Trinidad and Tobago's economy has really been growing with the energy industry. Very unique among so that's pretty cool to think about. Now, in terms of tourism, it's much less reliant on tourism than other Caribbean countries, but the bulk of it actually occurred on the less developed island of Tobago. That being said, the government has made efforts to boost the sector in recent years. Historically, it used to be agriculture with production like sugarcane, as well as coca, but nowadays it's been mainly energy and tourism. So that is pretty important to know. Yeah, good to see you, Bossman. I hope you're doing well. So we're getting very close to the island of Tobago. I'm going to go ahead and drop down a little bit to 2,500 feet. 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 2,500 fe ahead and arm it. So there's Tobago right in front of us. If you look to your right, there's the island of Trinidad. To our right is Tobago Island of Trinidad, which is a much more massive part. So yeah, great to have you guys here. I can't wait for the weekend, guys. The weekend should be a lot of fun. Should be pretty important. But just to let you know, for next week's schedule, I'll talk more about this on Sunday. But next week will be the start of our journey in South America. We'll be, I bet Wednesday's going to be out of Dubai to Tehran, so we'll be doing that. I wanted to do a stream out of our new Middle East hub. On next Friday is going to be our trip through Venezuela, Maracaibo, Barranquilla, Valencia, and Caracas. Will be our trip on next Friday. And next Sunday, we'll be checking out the island of Guyana, the nation in Guyana, our second destination in South America. We're about to reach the island of Tobago. Before we get there to Tobago, let's go ahead and talk about some notes. This is Scarborough. It's the largest major town in Tobago, as well as the 11th most populous in the island nation. It was the capital of Tobago in 1769 before it became unified with Trinidad when it was moved to Port of Spain. It's the economic and cultural center of the island with a population of 17,000 people, and it's one of the most densely populated towns in the country. It's dominated by Fort King Forge, an 18th century fortification, and now hosts a historic and archaeological museum. Um, it also features the largest performing arts theater in the Caribbean at Shaw Park Cultural Complex. So definitely a pretty cool little town, pretty cool city to visit. And of course, our airport we're checking out. Our second stop is A&R Robinson International, located in Tobago. It's the main gateway to Tobago. It's located in the southwest part of the island in Crown Point. It's one of the 2 international airports serving the island nation after the one in Piarco in Trinidad. It's located in the south tip. It was commissioned in 1940. Originally was a 2,000-foot landing strip. It was upgraded in the 1980s to accommodate bigger planes, including even the 747. It was renamed after the third-born president and Tobago-born president A&R Robinson, Arthur Napoleon Raymond Robinson. Currently featured flights to London, St. Lucia, Barbados, New York, and Port of Spain are some of the destinations that go from this airport. Also, fun fact, this airport is also one of the newly handcrafted airports that came along with our New World Update. So, should be a great airport. We should definitely take a look at. So yeah, we still got a whole other part of all this to cover. I do appreciate you guys coming along with us during the trip. Yeah, we still got a bit of a ways to go because we got one last leg after this one, which we will be exploring the entirety of Trinidad. Here's, guys, the island of Tobago. Ooh, this should be great. So here it is, guys. Looks beautiful out here today in Tobago. should look absolutely beautiful here. Beautiful area here today. Gorgeous. Just gorgeous area today, man. I mean, this is great. Beautiful, beautiful area. Yeah, Tobago, compared to Trinidad, Tobago has had a lot less development. Beautiful area. Now, in terms of my things about in terms of Trinidad and Tobago, for excursions, there are some things you can do here in Tobago. There's Pigeon Point Beach, which is a beautiful area. Filled with palm trees all over. With it makes it for some of the best locations for snorkeling. You can explore the city of Scarborough with Fort King George. there's tons of beautiful areas. There's also bird watching and stuff too, because I mean, again, there's a lot of animal species that live on Tobago. There's Fort Granby, and now we're going to head our way over to Scarborough. Beautiful island. Fort King George is here. Here is Scarborough. We're going to land here at runway 29. And we'll go ahead and briefly park here. I got to take a break shortly, so we'll stop right here for a bit. Once we do that, we'll prepare for the third and final leg of the trip. We'll be checking out the island of Trinidad. So, hey, nice, Devil Dude. Oh, nice. Yep, you did your final leg. Nice, Devil Dude. Yeah, that's the long one. Dubai to Nairobi. That's a pretty cool flight. For sure. Yeah, I've been really enjoying our new Dubai hub. I'm glad I voted for the right one. Honestly, I'm glad we ended up picking Dubai. Here we go, guys. Landing at Crown Point Airport. Yep. Beautiful lane. -51 according to that. -43 on LRM. So, well, guys, this is leg 2 has been in the books. So, I'll be taking a quick bow break. I'll be right back. We'll get back here shortly before we get to the third and last leg of the fight. See you soon, guys. Hey guys, so we're back here at Tango Tango Charlie Papa. So let's go ahead and look at this airport since this is a newly handcrafted airport from the New World Update. So over here is some of the parking spaces. These are some parking spaces to put your airliners in. Um, Beautiful looking spots here. You have the A&R Robinson International Airport here as well. Then afterwards, we got more parking space here. You got the beaches and your cars. There's the big O Tobago sign, Tobago, in this area. Here's your international departures and your domestic check-ins. And then finally, there's like the fire department stuff. This might be like parking garages and stuff all around the airport. Let's go ahead and get back into the sky, shall we? Um, and we're off. So we're gonna finally make it to our next stop here in Trinidad. So thank you guys so much for being patient with me. We're gonna go ahead and head on out to Trinidad. So we'll climb up to 3,000 feet. So let's go ahead and talk about Caribbean Airlines. Now, if you guys don't know, Trinidad and Tobago actually have their own airline. They actually operate their own airline, Caribbean Airlines. Caribbean Airlines is the state-owned airline and flag carrier of Trinidad and Tobago. It's also the same one for Jamaica and Guyana. It's located in Piarco, which is in Trinidad. It operates flights to Caribbean, North America, and South America from its base in Piarco International in Trinidad. It employs more than 1,700 people and is the largest airline in the Caribbean. The company's slogan is the warmth of the island. So the history of this airline goes all the way back to 2006, when it was incorporated into Trinidad and Tobago. It originally consisted of a fleet of 737s, as well as one A340 to fly the route to London Heathrow. However, in modern days, later on they start adding more regional routes around the Caribbean and such. However, the big deal happened in 2010 when Caribbean Airlines acquired Air Jamaica, which was Jamaica's airline, to become the largest airline in the Caribbean in a new hub at Kingston's Northern Manly International, Mike Kilo Juliet Papa. Then afterwards, after the acquisition, of it as well. Then they also got some new then they actually had their own and then they moved on to the more business jets to replace their ATR fleet. Then they finally got their newest 737, the MAX 8 aircraft, to replace their AG-737-800 aircraft. And then they got a brand revitalization in 2020 with a new logo livery, including their ATRs and all that, and their 737 MAXs. And they're currently planning on some brand new flights to places like St. Thomas and San Juan, and more. Their main branding is the blue, green, and purple, representative of the new uniforms as well. Their logo, their image is the hummingbird, which makes sense because they're known as the land of the hummingbird. Some of their destinations in the Caribbean include Barbados, St. Lucia, Kingston, and Grenada, while non-Caribbean flights include Miami, Orlando, New York, and Toronto, are some of the destinations served by Caribbean Airlines. And their fleet, as of 2023, they consisted of 10 ATR 727-600s, 9 Boeing 737 MAX 8s with 3 more on order, and 5 E175s on order. They're waiting for them to get shipped here. And they previously operated the fallen aircraft, the Airbus A340-300, 21 737 Boeing 737-800s, 2 Boeing 767-200s, and 5 de Havilland Dash 8-300s. So this is what Caribbean Airlines used to. Yeah, here is Trinidad, guys. Here's the island range. Now this part here was, from here you can definitely see some of the highest islands here in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, beautiful island here. What a beautiful way to wrap up. Um, beautiful, beautiful day for sure. Beautiful. Absolutely cool. Just gorgeous. So yeah, I want to ask you guys this. Hey, good to see you, Jake Brixey. Good to see you. Does MSFS accurately model DN general aviation planes? Yes, actually. I think they do, very much so. Yeah, good to see you, Jake. Hope you're doing well. We're currently on our way down through Trinidad. We're completing the all countries around the world trip. So they do. Let me go ahead and turn this back in. Let's talk a little bit more about Trinidad and Tobago. Let's talk about Trinidad and Tobago's culture because Trinidad and Tobago is very special for its culture. It has diverse culture with African, Indian, Creole, European, Chinese, Indigenous, Latin, Hispanic, and Arab influences related to the various communities who immigrated over the centuries. The island is world famous, is particularly renowned for its carnival celebrations annually, featured rooted in various religions and cultures, including Hindu festivals like Diwali and Pagwa or Holi, as well as Christian holidays like um, Child Liberation Day, Lent, and more, and Muslim holidays like Ashura and Ramadan. Trinidad and Tobago is also reflected in its cuisine, which bears a variety of different influences, including African, Indian, and colonial traditions. One of the most well-known dishes in Trinidad and Tobago food is mainly roti, palau, callaloo, curry crab, and dumpling. They also have features two Nobel Prize winning authors, Viadhar Naipaul and St. Lucian born Derek Walcott, two well-known people from there. But the major thing that Trinidad's most well-known for is been music. Trinidad and Tobago's music is very famous, as it is the birthplace of calypso music, which was and steel pan, which invented the musical instrument steel pan. Also the birthplace for soca, chutney music, rapso, and more, as well as various dances and more. In terms of sports, Trinidad and Tobago's first gold medal winner is Hazley Crawford in the men's 100-meter dash. 9 different athletes from Trinidad and Tobago have won 12 different medals in the Olympics, beginning with a silver medal in 1948 by Rodney Wilkes. Another popular sport is cricket, and it's the deemed national sport, and there's an intense rivalry with its Caribbean neighbors. In football in recent years has actually become pretty popular here too. In fact, the men's football team even qualified for the 2006 FIFA World Cup by beating Bahrain, becoming the second smallest country ever in terms of population to ever qualify for the World Cup after Iceland. Pretty cool stuff. In the course of other sports, basketball is mainly played in colleges and universities across the country. Basketball, and its national team is one of the most successful in the Caribbean, winning 4 straight gold medals from 1986 to 1990. Netball's been popular. It used to be a popular sport until its decline in popularity. Rugby continues to be popular, as well as horse racing and more. So yeah, that is about the interesting sports and facts about Trinidad and Tobago. But yes, Jake, it does average DN and G in the planes. Let's talk about some fun facts about Trinidad and Tobago, shall we? In terms of fun facts, Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad is the birthplace of the steel pan, which is the national instrument. It is the only acoustic music instrument to be invented in this 20th century. Invented right here in Trinidad. La Brea Pitch Lake is located in there, and it's the largest natural deposit of asphalt in the world, and it holds approximately 10 million tons of asphalt. And of course, Trinidad and Tobago is the best Caribbean destination for nature holidays. As for ecotourists, there's over 470 species of birds, 600 species of butterflies, along with rivers, waterfalls, allow for a bunch of eco-adventures for a lot of eco-minded tourists. Definitely a great place to do this sort of stuff. And here's some places you should definitely check out and visit in Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, you have Maracas Bay, one of the most beautiful beaches close to the city. You have the Fort King George Museum in Tobago, which flew over that. One of the best, most well-preserved for the island. And then Caroni Bird Sanctuary in Trinidad, just south of Port of Spain. Featuring mangrove-lined waterways, and it's home to the national bird, the scarlet ibis. So that wraps up a bit about the fun facts and stuff to learn about Trinidad and Tobago. So we're just currently now going to fly along much of the island. That's what we're mainly doing. And that'll be for the rest of the flight. Just turn around the island of. This here to the left is actually swampland. To our left is actually swampland, and this is where you can find a lot of mangroves and stuff around this area. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Beautiful, beautiful area today, guys. I mean, this is. Definitely absolutely beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and turn right to 79. Beautiful, beautiful area here. Yeah, it's a huge island in the Caribbean. It's one of the Caribbean's largest islands. Definitely huge, huge place. Story in the Caribbean, and beautiful today. Just stunning. Yeah, it's gonna be sad when we officially leave the Caribbean. Can't believe that we're already at the end of the Caribbean. So after this, the next place where we explored would be South America, which means we'll be checking out Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and Brazil for the next couple of days, for the next 7 days afterwards. Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and Brazil. Before eventually going to, after Brazil, go to Paraguay, and then Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, then Colombia would finish up South America, then we're going to go back to North America for Central America. So, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sunset. Mm. So right here, we're going to make our next stop into the town of San Fernando. So we're going to go ahead and fly over that town and then make our way up to Port of Spain. So we just want to explore a bit about Trinidad. I'm going to want to explore the island for a little bit. Take my sweet time as we enjoy our final trip into the Caribbean. This is the port town of San Fernando. Beautiful, beautiful area here. So in terms of excursions and stuff, according to Princess, this is the cruise line I need to look at. There's a couple of excursions here on the island, include the Best of Trinidad, the Highlight and Scenic Drive, a Port of Spain and Cultural Show, the Caroni Bird Sanctuary, Maracas Beach, and a Trinidad 4x4 adventure in the Trinidad. This area is beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Oh, nice. Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks, Typhon. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, currently MSF is official. Currently doing um an air derby. Nice. That's what they're doing today. So let's go ahead and talk about the last two slides of part one of our trip, and um and that is going to be Port of Spain in Trinidad. So Port of Spain is the capital of Trinidad and Tobago, and it's the third largest municipality after Chaguanas and San Fernando. Population of 37,000 people. It's located in the northwest coast of Trinidad. It serves primarily as the retail and administrative center in the country, and it's been the capital of the island since 1757. It's one of the most important financial centers in the Caribbean. And it was the de facto capital of the West Indies Federation, which unified the entire Caribbean. Today, it is a leading city in the region, and it hosts the 5th Summit of the Americas, and it's home to the biggest and most successful stock exchange in the Caribbean, the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. You can also find some of the tallest skyscrapers in the entire Caribbean. Pretty cool stuff. And finally, the last thing is Piarco International Airport. It's the largest airport in Trinidad and Tobago. It's home to the primary hub of Caribbean Airlines, the largest airline in the Caribbean, with direct services to the U.S., Canada, Central America, South America, and Europe. It was built back in 1931 to serve Venezuela's airline. Then it was used by the Royal Navy during World War II for their Fleet Arm Air Arm 1 training school. It was also used by the U.S. Air Force and U.S. Navy squadrons for their training units as well for anti-submarines. Today, it's been a major airport in the Caribbean. And for 3 years straight, it was rated the best Caribbean airport by Skytrax. Features one runway, which is about 10,500 feet, and it can accommodate most wide-body airlines, including the 747, A330-300, 777, and A340, as well as medium-sized planes like the 737, 75, A320, Embraer 190s and turboprop planes like the Dash 8 ATR and others. Destinations include Toronto, Miami, London, Antigua, Barbados, Caracas, Curacao, Dominica, Georgetown, Guyana, Miami, Kingston, Havana, Orlando, New York, St. Kitts, Amsterdam, and Houston. But yeah, this airport serves a ton of destinations in the Caribbean. It would be a natural Caribbean hub for sure. So wow, guys, that is it, and we just wrapped up the final slide of our Caribbean trip. Oh man, look at the scenery today, guys. Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous, guys. Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful way to wrap up the Caribbean. Oh, that's just it was absolutely breathtaking. What an amazing way to wrap up. Unbelievably beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Now over to our right is the Caroni Bird Sanctuary. To our right, this place is very well known in the island for is a bird watcher's paradise. If you like seeing different birds flying around in their native habitat, this would be an excellent place to check that out. Now to our left, it is Port of Spain. Um, Here it is, downtown Port of Spain. Here's the capital. Thank you. Beautiful area for sure. This is stunning. This island's pretty. Here's the airport. Yeah, this was an absolutely awesome stream, guys. So guys, we're gonna go ahead and make a landing here and park. Man, this sim is so great. Maybe at some point, maybe on one of my streams, I may want to do some night flying. Here we go, guys. This is part one of our trip. We made our way to the end of the Caribbean. And that's it. There we go. We did it. Beautiful landing. -2 days, not bad. It could be better, but well, we're at least landing safely. That's all that matters. That was a lot of fun, guys. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this stream, you know? So, guys, and that is it, everyone. Um, wow. I can't believe this, everyone. We have just wrapped up the Caribbean, everyone. Part one of our journey has been complete. We have completed the Caribbean, finally. Took us a bit longer than I was expecting it to, but, I mean, what an absolutely amazing flight. Guys, a massive thank you to everyone here on this amazing stream. So yeah, that's it, everyone. So we will be returning back on stream on Saturday and Sunday as we do another journey today. As we're gonna go ahead and get ready for our first flight to South America, to Maracaibo, Venezuela. So guys, thank you all so much for being here. So yes, see you soon, everyone. Take care and have a great rest of the day. Bye.